Welcome back to Cinema Flicks Music Picks. I'm your host with most of the beast with the least, Davey. So it's box set Wednesdays, and I looked back over the last couple and other things that I've shown on the channel, and I thought I don't want it to come across that I'm saying, look what I've got isn't that expensive, because I'm just a poor boy, nobody, so these are things that I've picked up over the years, in a lot of cases I had to save for. So the one seems if I'm just buying all these fancy things. And also, I don't want it to make it come across that expensive means better. So I thought box sets don't need to be expensive to be world class. And the best illustration of that for my money is the 2008, I believe. 2006. 2006 box set, Brawlers, Bawlers and Bastards by the great Tom Waits. Hype sticker as always kept. Limited edition, 56 songs, 13 new recordings, 94-page book. Over 3 hours of rare, never before heard music from the one and only, and that's certainly true, Tom Waits. In this 3-disc set, Orphans, Brawlers, Bawlers and Bastards, each disc is its own world and captures Waits in his full spectrum, from country ballads to strange tales and full-throated joint stomp. I think that sums it up, so thank you very much. I was still working in Lost in Music when this set came out, and as such was lucky enough to pick up this when it came in, which has been on our wall ever since, my Orphans poster. I can't get much further back than that, but it's coming out in November the 20th, 2006. So that never did make it onto the wall of the shopping. That came home with me that very day that it was delivered. Orphans is a terrific set, and I was having a discussion the other day online with someone, and I said that one of the things I respect most about Tom Waits is that he's never revisited the catalogue and done deluxe editions, remasters with bonus tracks to make you buy the album again with one song or two songs. The album, if you buy Swordfish Trombones on CD now, is the same one you would have bought 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. And someone said, well, no, he's done compilations. Well, that's true, but really the record labels did compilations to finish up his contract, when he finished up at Ireland or whatever. They put out you hesitate to say greatest hits, he's hardly had hits, but best ofs. So he had one for the early years, and then he had the Ireland Years anthology. But this is not that. So this is not in any way, shape or form a best of. Paradoxically though, it may be one of the best of Tom Waits releases ever, if not the best for my money. Let's have a look at the book first of all. So as mentioned, this is limited edition, but you can still get the music itself, which is the main thing. So it's all in wonderful hard thick paper to read, written and produced by Tom Waits and of course Kathleen Brennan. And then some track listings, Brawlers, and then we get our lyrics for everything. So we started with, you gotta lie to my baby, gotta lie to my baby. And the idea of, and I believe it's pretty much just lyrics, so I'm not going to show you any lyrics for, let's have a look. Yeah. I mean, in between Brawlers, Bawlers and Bastards, you get individual sheets of artwork, but nothing to write home about, unless you're already writing home and just want to mention it. But then you do get a few photos at the back that are just kind of esoteric, Waitsian pieces. you know, these kind of things, which you don't often get in Tom Waits albums. So it is nice to actually see some in studio things, and you know, there's Tom and Nicolas Cage, you know. Yeah. So I'm just enjoying this now. I don't know about you. But then, you know, there's that. It almost looks like the cover for Mule Variations. You can imagine Tom just seeing that and being inspired. So yeah, you get some black and white photography, which takes us through. And yeah, Polaroids. And then this is how the discs come. So we have Brawlers, Bawlers, Bastards, and just at the end some more interior art. Yeah, fantastic. And the idea is, as you can probably guess from the title itself, Brawlers is filled with the harder songs, the more aggressive songs, and then Bawlers is more of the Waitsian balladeer stuff, and some of the country or folk inspired torch songs, and then Bastards is some of the weird shit, you know, the stuff that would be stuck on Black Rider or something, you know, that kind of thing. But where does it come from? As mentioned here, 56 songs, 30 new recordings. But you shouldn't think that means that 26 of these, 26, my maths isn't that bad, have just been freely available. Now, they've been culled from places like B-sides, tribute albums to other people, albums that are various artist compilations, like the Stay Awake, the Walt Disney album, Walt Disney with Tom Waits, the main Bawlers. So they've been called, so rarity soundtracks especially. So even the previously available ones, you would have had to have spent an absolute fortune to compile this, and there's still a few rogue ones out there that might be on bootleg somewhere. Don't tell Tom or Kathleen. But yeah, to go into each individual disc, Brawlers starts with Lie to Me, which is a new song that was composed, I believe, for this box set. I think it's one of the few that was. And as I sung a few moments ago, it's a kind of rockabilly fun time to kick things off. What the lyrics do is literally just tell you the lyrics. I wish that they told you where the sources were for, you know. You can find that online these days easily enough anyway, but it would be nice to say, you know, this is from the Walt Disney album, or this is from the tribute album to Skip Spence, you know, that kind of thing. Skip Spence from Moby Grape, his solo album, or his only solo album before he went another acid casualty. Tom does Book of Moses on Bastards here. So yeah, it would have been nice to have some accreditation. Writers obviously get credited, but it would be nice to know exactly, you know, what the source is. One of my favourites on the whole set, which is maybe one of Tom's more famous soundtrack songs, or was, because this film never used to be off the telly, is the theme Sea of Love, from the film Sea of Love with Al Pacino and Ellen Barkin, that neo-noir from 87, 88. Come with me to the sea. And that's a cover of an old 50s song, a kind of R&B doo-woppy thing, and Tom does not do it in that style whatsoever. It's quite fantastic to see how he reinvents it. So yeah, the stuff from you know, decades earlier that come back here, but also new stuff as well. So it is a true compilation. Road to Peace, I remember standing out, because this again came out in 2006. We're still in the middle of the Bush administration here, and Tom has never been overtly political in his music. I mean, you can always read however you want to read things, can't you? You can put that spin on it. But Tom wrote, or Tom and Kathleen, because they're both credited as writers, as they always are, his longest lyrics probably, all about the Israel and Palestine conflict. I mean, young Abdel Mahdi Shabney was only 18-year-old, the youngest of 9 children. He'd never spent a night away from home. His mother held his photograph up in the New York Times. You see, the killing has intensified along the road to peace, and it tells the story of a young Jewish boy being killed and a young Hamas associated Palestinian boy being killed. Israel launched its latest campaign against Hamas on Tuesday. 2 days later, Hamas shot back and killed 5 Israeli soldiers. Thousands dead and wounded on both sides. Most have been Middle Eastern civilians. They fill their children full of hate to fight an old man's war and die upon the road to peace. This was overt stuff for Tom Waits. He's never been that overt about pretty much any subject matter. Even non-political songs, he's not usually that overt about anything. Even Christ, go back to I don't know, a song like Christmas Card from Hooker in Minneapolis, from what's it, 78, Blue Valentine. You get the song and then you get a little twist to tell you what's actually been going on. So Tom's never really been one to have the full story laid out from the start, and here's the message and you ain't going to miss it. He doesn't mind being oblique or withholding. But I mean, same track. Once Kissinger said, "We have no friends, America only has interests." And now our president wants to be seen as a hero, and he's hungry for re-election. But he's reluctant to risk his future with the fear of his political failure. So he plays chess at his desk as he poses for the press, 10,000 miles from the road to peace. Whew, yeah. It's hard to, the end of that track. Maybe God himself is lost and needs help. He's out upon the road to peace. Maybe God himself is lost and needs help, and he's lost upon the road to peace. Yeah, that song, I remember at the time, just hit me like a freight train, because this was Tom Waits. I mean, we were a couple of years down the line from, how is that every time I record the police go by? You'll never catch me. I think they have. Anyway, we'll finish the video before they do, don't worry. Take them ages to get through that barricade. When this came out, as I said, hit me like a freight train. Tom putting out Real Gone in 2004, those songs were very oblique, probably the shortest album lyrically, a lot of repeated phrases, and it was as if Tom had almost not abandoned the lyrics, but was more interested in rhythm and repeated phrases and the power of that, something that he's kind of been doing for the last 25 years maybe, with the odd exception. So to get a song like Road to Peace, which clearly must have been written just before this set, because it mentions Bush by name, was just astonishing. It was we've never heard anything like that from Tom Waits. But let's not dwell too much just on one song. I mean, there's also a track on Brawlers like Lucinda, which, wow. This whole album is just, wow. It takes, so Tom almost kind of beatboxes over the top, so it starts with thing going, better than that, but he does that. And then his voice comes in full kind of throaty mode. Well, they call call me William the Pleaser. I sold opium, fireworks, and lead. I'm telling my troubles to strangers. When the shadows get long, I'll be dead. And it goes on. It's a real murder ballad, you know. It's great fun. And Tom likes to play around with those. But there's also tracks that kind of bleed into each disc. So Brawlers has the song Bottom of the World, about a young boy who leaves home and becomes destitute, homeless, but learns the ways, you know. If you're going to slick back your hair to look cool, you do it with egg whites. You know, he's got a sad story, but he's not sad about it. And that's what makes it a brawler as opposed to a baller. But it is a sad song, and it's musically sad. You know, it's got a lovely twang sound to it. I can't remember if it's a banjo, mandolin. There's some lovely kind of country instrumentation, which consciously we'll go through to Bawlers now. So Bawlers, as in BAWLERS, not, you know, Bawlers as in that TV show, and, you know, connotations of to ball. A lot more of his, as I said, balladeer stuff, including a Ramones cover though, and Danny Says. One of my favourites here is, it starts with Bend Down the Branches, which is a very short song. You Can Never Hold Back Spring, but Long Way Home, wow. It's got the feel of kind of Americana, but also an Irish ballad. It's a love song, which makes it a baller, but it's a happy ending one. So, I don't want to spoil too much for that, because some of these have got such great stories that you don't want to kind of spoil them, as ridiculous as that sounds. Widow's Grove is up next, and that's definitely a kind of Irish sounded folk song. That's it starts with fiddle, but it's all kind of off key slightly, and the vocals are filled with reverb, you know, so even that isn't played straight. It's all filtered through this terrifying basement, you know, the wonderful recesses of Tom's mind. So, you know, on a traditional fiddle with an Irish voice, it would be, I met you in the shadows, you know, in some Joseph Locke like tenor. But with Tom, it's, you know, distorted as, I met you in the shadow, you know. So yeah, it's fantastic. I'm not going to do it track by track, although I'm so excited about it just thinking that I really want to. I did say the most famous songs include, the most famous song he does in this set is Goodnight Irene. Okay, I mean, that's just an old standard, isn't it? We all know Irene, good night. You're getting a lot of singing for your money today, folks. Wait, you don't pay for this? I don't have I'm never going to do a Patreon. I don't want your money. Yeah, give it to the Ukrainian embassy in your country if you want to give money. My favourite, Little Drop of Poison, right? Little Drop of Poison, another famous track from this, because it was in Shrek 2, I want to say, Shrek 2, in the bar scene. Yeah, Shrek 2. I'm going to go with that instead of Shrek 1, but it's definitely in a Shrek movie. Great song that was quite famous before this because of the Shrek movie. But my favourite might be Never Let Go. It might be my favourite on all three discs. It's a piano ballad, probably second the same ballad, but it's a pure love story. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it's simply saying, you know, whatever happens, I'm never going to let go of you. I'm going to just pull up the lyric here. Well, ring the bell backwards and bury the axe. Fall down on your knees in the dirt. I'm tied to the mast between water and wind. Believe me, you'll never get hurt. Now the ring's in the pawn shop, the rain's in the hole. Down at the 5 points I stand. I'll lose everything, but I'll never let go of your hand. Some of the lyrics are misspelled here because it's I'll lose everything. Peter denied and Judas betrayed. I'll pay with the roll of the drum, and the wind will tell the truth from the wheel, and the watchman's making his rounds. Will you leave me hanging on by the skin of my teeth? I've only got one leg to stand. They could send me to hell, but I won't let go of your hand. And Tom doesn't just sing this one. Tom belts this one. He sings it with everything in his lungs. You know, straight from the diaphragm, through his chest, with that great throat, that wonderful raggedy voice, boof, amplifies. It sounds like, I think he literally invokes it at one point. Maybe I'm thinking of another track. Yeah, no, I'm thinking another track. But it does invoke, Gabriel blowing his horn and the trumpet and things. He wouldn't need to, because Tom is singing it so bloody loud, but not in an obnoxious way, in just that's how passionate I am about you, my love, as he's singing. And yeah, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Fannin Street, I think that was one of the first advanced songs that was released from the album. And then Bastards. Starts off with it's a Brecht Veil song, isn't it? Which usually means we're going to be ending up with something weird. I mean, Brecht Veil did 1.5 billion songs, but Kurt Weill, Bertolt Brecht, and as you can see here, because Tom didn't write a good chunk of these ones, for example, you just get the credits, so the lyrics haven't been included. So what keeps mankind alive, off the top of my head, is and then an almost Russian folktale, something like Russian dance from Black Rider comes on top, and Tom starts giving us this terrific. It's obviously not his lyrics, but he gives us, the way he sings it. It sounds so weighty. It's about what keeps mankind alive, and I don't want to spoil what does keep mankind alive, but it goes through some strange places to get there. What keeps mankind alive? It is his brilliance. It's a real foot stomper. It's absolutely nuts. That's followed by a children's story in which a child is telling his child a story, and he just talks it just like Frank's wild years back from Swordfish Trombones. He says it. It says the lyrics. It's a spoken word, where he tells a story to a child at bedtime. But it's got a really dark end, and Tom gives a sinister laugh at the end. That's followed by Hi Ho, which is his contribution, as I said, to the Disney soundtrack thing that they did, Stay Awake, which Garth Hudson also played on. He does a lovely accordion version of Feed the Birds. And Garth just lost his wife Maud today, so we're sending all the love in the world to Mr. Garth Hudson of the band fame. Army Ants, Book of Moses, as I said, the Skip Spencer, Book of Moses. We've got Dog Door, Red Drums, quite a few instrumentals in this one. It does Charles Bukowski stuff like Nirvana, Home I'll Never Be, where he takes some Jack Kerouac lyrics and puts them to or words and puts them to music. The Pontiac, that's another kind of strange spoken word thing. Spidey's Wild Ride. King Kong, the Daniel Johnston song. If you've ever had the pleasure of seeing Daniel Johnston here in Glasgow, he was on the same bill as Wilco when they had the festival up at Victoria Park, which only ran for a couple of years, but what a strange bill. You know, it was, I'm going to see Daniel Johnson and then I'm going to see Wilco, and but it was great because I love both of them. R.I.P. Daniel Johnson, he's dead as well. Good lord. And then obviously, of course, you do get full credits for musicians. So there's a lot of the players will be familiar to people on here. To Tom Waits fans, I mean, Mark Ribot, obviously Larry Taylor, Casey Waits on drums, and Greg Cohen, Brain is on percussion. Because it's Tom's band and then friends, and like Charlie Musselwhite and things from throughout the years. Charlie Musselwhite, one of the best blues harmonic players in the world. If you haven't checked out his stuff, still going and still taking a stand against Ukraine, or against the no, he's not taking a stand against Ukraine. Excuse me, he's taking a stand for Ukraine against the action in Ukraine. So good for you, Charlie. He's getting a lot of abuse on his own page because he plays a lot in parts of the country where, should we say, they don't perhaps share those values, or have been conditioned not to. I just can't recommend this enough. It's got everything. Although normally, if you say where should I start with someone, you would either recommend a compilation, which I tend not to do actually, but you would recommend a compilation, or you would recommend an album suited to that person. So if I knew you were say a bluesier fan of kind of more rocking songs, who liked a kind of aggressive ballad as well, I'd say to you, start with Heart Attack and Vine. If I knew you were a more jazzy type person, lounge singing, I'd say to you, start with Small Change. If I knew you were a singer-songwriter fan who didn't like aggressive vocals, I'd say start with Closing Time. If I knew you were into more out there and aggressive music, Primus and stuff, alternative early 90s, I'd say Bone Machine. But for Tom Waits, because you don't really need to worry about I only want to hear the hits, I think this is the best starting point. And don't let that limited edition thing put you off, because there's a perfectly standard edition which has every single track on here, and it's the same size. You're only missing some photos and lyrics, you're not missing any music whatsoever. So go for it. This is, I think, the best, and I don't like being hyperbolic, but I think this might be the best value for money 3-disc box set I've ever purchased. Unless it's been an actual bargain, as in, a charity shop was selling it dirt cheap. But I think this, purchased new, though I did get a discount because I was working there at the time, but I think this might be the best place to start for Tom Waits, because you will find some of it to your taste. I'm 99% sure. The only problem is, you're going to find this on almost every Tom album. You might find some of it truly not to your taste. But that's always the risk, isn't it? But especially with Tom. I remember making up a compilation for my mother, because she loved a couple of tracks that I'd been blasting. This was a good 15 years ago or so. And she said, "Oh, I love that. And she went out and bought herself an album. And it didn't end well, because that album was The Black Rider. And she did not particularly enjoy what she heard. She puts it on and she's expecting what I've let her hear, which is, you gotta hold on, and out to my old 55, and she gets, track 1, come on along, this a black rider, we'll have a gay old time. And take no sin, take off your skin, and dance around in your bones. Yeah, so Tom, yeah, some of the stuff is going to alienate people. It's she also was terrified. She said, "Oh, see, he does that one of my favourite songs, something, from West Side Story." I said, "Yeah, he does, and it's not on the compilation for a reason, because I know the minute that she hears the way Tom starts that song, she'll be put off." And she was, because for anyone who doesn't know, the song is, West Side Story, so it's sung beautifully in that Broadway style. And in Tom's version, you get the lovely orchestral introduction, piano, and then there's a place for us, somewhere a place for us, peace and quiet, and she said, "Yeah, it sounds like Ralph the dog from the Muppets." And I said, "Yeah, Ralph was based on Tom. He's like, that's why he's a piano player. That's why Ralph the dog's a piano player. It's not why Tom's a piano player. He didn't watch the Muppets and go, you know what? I think I should take out the piano, maybe join the electric band with Janice and Dr. Teeth. Is that right? It's been a while since I've been a Muppet head, but I do love my Muppets because I'm surrounded by them. More of a Sweet fan, anyway. My goodness, we've done the half hour as usual, and it's just been me gushing over this. If it was anything, if I gushed more, it would just be an X-rated video of me doing dirty things to this, and nobody wants to see that. I don't want to see that. Please subscribe to my Pornhub account if you do want to see that. That's why I'll never get too many subscribers, because I don't align like that, and you do things ad hoc, and people will run away. But if they ain't into your cup of tea, then don't change your brand. Don't know where that came from either. So this is still widely available. May not be the lovely digipack, but who cares? You're going to get every track. You buy it, you let me know what you think. If you've already heard it, you let me know what you think. If you like other Tom Waits, let me know what you think of that. If you've never heard Tom Waits, let me know what you think. If you've only seen him as an actor in such films as The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, let me know what you think. Or Bram Stoker's Dracula, let me know what you think. Or the Jim Jarmusch films, let me know what you think. Or indeed the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, let me know what you think. Tom Waits is the man. It's been 11 years since his last album. Where's another one, Tom? Come on. We know you don't want to release deluxe editions and do many vault things. This was our vault thing, but please, something. Tidbits, Tom, tidbits, something. Yeah. Anyway, if we have everything, Tom, that you're going to give us, it's been more than enough. The pleasure, the privilege was ours. So, thank you very much for watching. That's the end of the video. I'll let you away and have your tea or whatever you're doing now. If you made it this far, I think you did. But if you did, then let's stay very careful out there. Love and mercy, folks. Love and mercy.